You Can't Do That came from John Lennon, despite the usual Lennon-McCartney credit, and it was not based on one clearly documented confrontation. The song was more personal than fictional, built around Lennon's jealousy and possessiveness rather than a named woman or a single known event.
I got something to say that might cause you pain.
Its narrator is so worried about being embarrassed in front of his friends that he threatens to end the relationship if the woman speaks to another man again. Lennon later identified Wilson Pickett as the musical model he'd been trying to imitate, using a blunt R&B groove, blues-based changes, and a steady cowbell to make the warning sound less like polished pop, more like something delivered from a club stage. The Beatles recorded the song at EMI Studios on February 25, 1964, George Harrison's 21st birthday. They had returned from their first American visit only days earlier and were already rushing to prepare original songs for their first film. You Can't Do That was the only new song they finished that day, and I Love Her and I Should Have Known Better were started but required more work. The band attempted 9 takes, although only 4 made it all the way to the end. Take 9 became the master, while the rougher 6th take, complete with Lennon's temporary guide vocal, was eventually released more than 30 years later on Anthology 1.
I got something to say that might cause you pain.
The arrangement contained several unusual role changes. Harrison played rhythm guitar on the new Rickenbacker 12-string he had received during the American trip, giving the introduction and ending their bright metallic ring. Lennon, rather than Harrison, played the short and deliberately rough lead guitar solo.
Can't do that. We can't do that.
The first Beatles release on which Lennon was clearly featured in that role. McCartney played bass, sang the answering vocal lines with Harrison, and added the cowbell that helped create the Wilson Pickett-style drive. Ringo Starr played both drums and conga. The finished track sounded simple and almost loose, but each Beatle was doing something slightly outside his normal assignment. The song nearly received a much more important position. It was considered for the A-side of the Beatles' next single, but Paul McCartney's newly written Can't Buy Me Love took that spot. You Can't Do That became the B-side when the single appeared in the United States on March 16, 1964, and Britain on March 20. It was also filmed on March 31st as part of the concert ending for A Hard Day's Night, before roughly 350 screaming fans at London's Scala Theatre. One of those young audience members was 13-year-old Phil Collins. Director Richard Lester removed the song from the finished movie, but footage had already been sent to The Ed Sullivan Show, which broadcast the deleted performance on May 24th. The strangest final chapter happened after the single was already in stores. On May 22nd, while the Beatles were away on holiday, George Martin returned to EMI Studios and spent a 1-hour morning session adding piano to the master tape. The reason for the experiment was never documented. The altered recording was labeled Take 10, but Martin's piano was rejected and never appeared on the album. You Can't Do That therefore survived as a collection of near misses, a possible A-side that became a B-side, a movie performance that was cut, and a piano arrangement that disappeared. None of that stopped it from becoming one of the Beatles' toughest early recordings, with Lennon's private jealousy hiding in plain sight beneath the ringing guitars and cowbell.